Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Each week we do a new video. One week we do a video talking about anything gaming related, and the second week we do a gaming review, usually on the Nintendo Switch. So after a whole year-long delay, we finally are getting to review Baldo, the Guardian Owls. So let's find out, is this a bold do or a bold don't? The game is published and developed by Nap's team, and it's described as an action-adventure RPG with puzzles, exploration, combat, and it's all set in a crafted, hand-drawn open world, and it's inspired by the Legend of Zelda series and also Studio Ghibli's films. Fabio Capone, the game designer, said, "I've always loved a Japanese anime and that style since I was a kid. I always dreamed about a game that could bring people into that kind of magical world. No one's done that yet, so I decided to do it myself." I don't want to spoil the plot too much or the story too much, so I'm just going to give you a very basic overview. And Baldo takes place in a fictional land of Rhodia, and it's said that a prophecy is coming true. A pure heart child has been born, and this no heart creature that's sealed in the underworld by the wise owls is destined to rise again. That will make sense as you start to play the game, believe me. I don't want to spoil the game too much for you. The game is a multi-platform release, and everything you're seeing today is taken from handheld mode on the Nintendo Switch. When it comes to gameplay, this involves using lots of different puzzles, very similar to Zelda, and then a quite basic combat system that involves either picking things up and throwing them at enemies, or using your sword and shield in quite a basic way. More often than not, you will see the game over screen all the time. It gets incredibly frustrating, but there's something about the gameplay that means you want to go back and play even after 10-15 times. In my case, probably over 100 times so far of seeing that game over screen. But it's a very addictive game, and I can't pinpoint the reasons why that is. It's almost like you feel you should have been able to solve the puzzles, or you feel you should have been able to defeat the bosses, and that's the reason I think that you desperately want to go back and you desperately want to defeat those enemies and solve those puzzles. One of my biggest frustrations was how sensitive the Joy-Cons often were. Just a very slight timing of using the joystick, you'd end up in the water, or a small gap you were trying to cross. If you just nudged it a little bit too much, you end up falling down a hole or into the water, and you'd see that game over screen. So it was a little bit frustration with that, but I found that the game over loading times were very quick, so it didn't annoy me too much. Anyone who's watched any videos on this channel before, you'll know that cel shaded artwork is my absolute favourite art style. I made a video about all the new cel shaded games coming to the Switch about a year ago, and I was super excited for this game, and it does not disappoint. I honestly think it's one of the best looking games I've ever played. The reason cel shaded artwork to me is one of the best styles is because I think it has longevity. I think you can pick this game up in even 10 years time and it's still going to look fantastic. There maybe were a couple of slight frame drops when you do enter a new area, but these are very minor, and I didn't really notice them too much in handheld mode on that smaller screen. But for me, this really does look like a fantastic game, and I've got no complaints about how it looks at all. One of the negatives I do have to pick out from the game is the life system. it was very confusing as to know as how that would work, because sometimes I would get struck once and it would take off a heart. Other times I would get struck once and it was game over straight away. And there was kind of no rhyme or reason as to why this was happening. So it was very frustrating. I think then you just have to kind of accept that sometimes it's going to be one hit kill, other times it's going to be you can take 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 hits before you die. So yeah, one of the negatives definitely how that heart system actually works. One thing that I did find a little bit odd about the game is normally when you're playing an RPG style game, you can tell what is part of a main quest and what is part of a side quest. As you can see from the footage here, some of them are really similar, and it was just a little bit confusing as to what direction to go to on the map or where exactly I was heading to next. I did find myself getting a little bit lost. So again, it's a small gripe. You can obviously work out what you need to do next, and you know it's not necessarily a correct order to do things in. But I just would have liked to see a slight variation in telling me what's a main quest and what is a side quest. The soundtrack for this game is just unbelievable, and I've got to try and pronounce this correctly, but Gianluca Cucciara, the composer for the soundtrack, he's done such an incredible job. It gets you kind of singing along, it just, every single dungeon, it's just really perfect, and you know, it really adds to the game. So huge congratulations to him, he's done a fantastic job. So just finally, the price point. So Baldo comes in at $22.49 in the UK, and then obviously your regional equivalent. And I haven't really got any sort of quabbles about that. I think that's a pretty fair price for the game. Now, if you look at their Twitter account, they did say that a special edition physical release would be coming out a week after it's released on the eShop. Now, I've kept checking, but I haven't had any update other than that Twitter announcement. So fingers crossed that does happen, because I would like to see this as a physical release. So $22.49, I think that's a pretty fair price for this game. And finally, I would say that this is a definite purchase for the Switch. I really have loved my time in it, and I can't wait to go through some more dungeons, hopefully getting through them a little bit quicker than I have been with the other ones. But I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, do hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to comment down below and also like the video to help the channel to grow, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks a lot everyone, thanks for watching.